Early Morning, Chapter 13. A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction written and narrated by Mira Rose. Artwork for the opening and thumbnail image by Cat Saturn Art on Instagram. You can find a link to them in the description box below. If you haven't already, check out the previous 12 chapters of the story, also included in the description box, and smash that subscribe button to stay up to date on the latest parts of your favorite fanfiction. Also, as long as we're thinking about it, go hit that like button and leave a comment. If you aren't sure what to comment, put coffee shop. Now then, please enjoy Early Morning, Chapter 13. Adrien Agrest, 11:12 a.m. Marinette didn't bring up dating again. A day passed, then a week, and Adrien wondered if it even happened, even though he knew it did. She'd met up with him 4 times, but didn't bring up Adrien or dating once. Speaking of Adrien, they were meeting up again today. A neutral place, a coffee shop, but still. Marinette was going to meet with him as Adrien Agrest, not her masked best friend. It was progress. Kind of. As she still hated him. He shouldn't have messed up back then. He'd been so worried, then flooded with relief when she opened her eyes. How could he stop himself? But no, instead he looked like a psycho. And when he tried to explain, he came off looking like a tool. But it's not as if he could tell her he was her partner if she didn't have a memory of it. Nor could he tell her he was Ladybug's boyfriend at the time, because the only thing worse than a tool is a cheater, right? Considering she didn't know who Ladybug was when she first woke up. If she ever gets her memory back, he'd give her a hard time about how she hated him from a misunderstanding. Well, granted, the next 2 times after that didn't go his way either. Thanks, Chloe.
Just drop me off at the cheese store, Plague lamented. I don't want to sit through your angst and puppy dog eyes. You're a cat for feline's sake.
No. Adrien tugged at his collar. She wouldn't remember it, but Marinette designed this shirt as part of the Agrest brand competitions. Leon specifically forbade you without supervision.
Eat a man's charcuterie board twice and he'll never let you live it down,
Plague sighed. You broke in and ate an entire wedding display, Plague.
Cameras didn't see who did it. You don't know it was me.
Adrien sighed. Besides buying Mr. Foo's place, he'd become a business partner with Leon to help make up for his little gremlin's antics. If it happens again, I'm feeding you craft singles for a week.
The American mockery?
Plague gasped.
I don't know why the Brits wanted to keep them.
Come on, I don't want to be late. It might not be possible for his relationship with Marinette to get any worse, but he didn't want to test it.
She already hates you. Just ghost her.
And ruin your chances with Sugar Cube?
Plague shut his trap. There's nothing going on with me and Sugar Cube.
Adrien rolled his eyes. Plague slept next to the box with the Ladybug Miraculous in it almost every night. If there was nothing there, then he was the Queen of France. Let's go. The biggest, yet unexpected, conflict of the day came when Adrien stood in line to order. He didn't know if he should order for Marinette, too. Sure, he knew what she liked, but would it be appropriate? And if it was, should he order what she liked, which might come off as creepy, or something generic that he knew she'd like but wouldn't be too specific to her tastes? What a dilemma. And it shouldn't be. But their relationship wasn't what it used to be. They weren't even friends. They weren't friends, but he'd buy her a drink anyway. An iced hot chocolate with half a shot of almond. She'd probably scowl, but at least she'd have something she'd like between them as they spoke. Thank you, he said, grabbing the drinks from the barista and turning to go back to his table. one in the corner with sun, but with up and down shades so it wouldn't get in her eyes as noon hit. But as nonchalant as he tried to be, his heart did a pitter-patter when Marinette walked in, her face soft when their eyes locked before melting into her usual displeasure at seeing him. "Agrest," she said, plopping down in the chair across from him with her arms crossed. Hey." He slid the drink he ordered for her across the table, hoping she would take it without making a scene. His stomach sank as she stared at it, almost sneering. He shouldn't have spent the money. "Thanks." She didn't touch it and looked back at him. "So? What do you have to tell me?" Marinette, sitting with her arms and legs crossed, somewhat irritated, could be something out of a teenage daydream, but now it was closer to a waking nightmare. "So, Tiki," he began. "My Kwame?" "Yes." His fingers retreated from his drink to touch the box in his pocket. "I'm still working on waking her up, but—" "So you're wasting my time." She stood, pushing herself up with one hand on the table. No. He looked around before pulling out the box. "Here." She froze, a line making itself at home between her eyebrows. "Is that—" She looked around with a curt whisper before sitting back down. "Adrien!" "It's yours." Marinette looked from the box to him, then back. It might be the first time she's ever not seemed angry in front of him since the last time she wore a mask. "That's my—" She reached for it, and he tightened his hold as she scowled. "Not to keep." "It's mine," she growled, her teeth gritted together. "I just wanted to check." He lifted 2 fingers off the box, still guarding it. "If anything would happen when you touched it." "So you brought it out in public?" "You're the one who won't be in the same room as me in private because you think I'm a tool." She scoffed. "You said I was your girlfriend, but literally no one can back that up. You were trying to pry on a girl with memory loss, Agrest. Keep it up and you'll end up in prison someday. You probably should be already and your management is covering up your actions somehow." Adrien sighed, putting the box back in his jacket. "Goodbye, Marinette." He couldn't do this. He couldn't be here. "What? You?" She cursed at him as he stood up, but he didn't interact. This was it. Proof that he could never be Marinette's friend, or even acquaintance, without a mask. He left, the air outside feeling just as trapped as the store he left. How was he supposed to breathe when every molecule rubbed against him, molding him into claustrophobia despite the nearest person being meters away by the stoplight? He wanted to run. He wanted to dash. But he also needed to sit. If only he could have had a regular breakup. If only he'd actually been like what Marinette thought of him. Then it might be easier. He could hate himself to the core without hope or shrug off his actions without a care. Fatigue overrode his thoughts, but it was a blessing. It meant when he crashed, he'd have a dreamless sleep. He wouldn't fall into a state of reinvented Akuma fights with the girl he loved, the girl that didn't exist anymore. Somehow those dreams were worse than the dreams of her betraying him during an Akuma fight, telling him she hated him as her partner, telling him he betrayed her by being Adrien, telling him she hated how he hid being Cat Noir from her when they dated. There were so many ways a terror could develop. Oh, he needed therapy, but it's not like a superhero could go. Too many secrets, and it wouldn't be just his identity at risk. But, oh, how he needed a partner. He needed a partner to help him through this, and it didn't have to be Ladybug. For once, as he stumbled into his shack of a fixer-upper, Adrien felt the chasm of loneliness, realizing just how much it ate his heart. He'd been so focused on helping Marinette. He hadn't helped himself. And now he was so broken, shattered in a coffee shop conversation. He wasn't sure if he could continue helping her, even though it's all his soul screamed for. For now, he'd sleep. He'd sleep, knowing nothing would be better when he woke up. He'd rather sleep forever then. Thank you so much for listening. Chapter 14 is on the way. In the meantime, you can check out these other videos for more fanfictions, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye! If you're still listening, comment depression.